Okay, so I just put my wider field of view lens on here. So hopefully we will, you know, it might look a little bit bendy sort of towards the sides, but this is a fairly large and tall piece of kit. So hopefully this will help us see what's in it. Let me grab something to put the screws in. Okay, so we have the screws out, so let's see if we can, is the lid going to come off? Oh nice, there we go. That's good, you see the metallized interior. They were very serious about not having any electromagnetic radiation on it. Alright, so let's get this guy off. I think once we get this shield off, we should be able to see inside. Okay. Oh, yeah. Excellent. There we go. Okay. As you can see, the little ear mic connections. Okay, so here we can see inside. Let me get my little pointy stick. We have a classic old 3.5 inch hard drive here, and it's an IDE, you can see that. I'm going to replace this with an SSD that I have, sort of speed it up a little bit. Now in here, you can see this is, let me turn this around and tilt it in a bit. So you can see inside there. This is that LM2000 card, I think. Anyway, this is a big. Oh yeah, there's the LM2000 card here. This is a big card. Now these things are based around an Intel i960, which was a RISC-based processor, which was sort of the, you know, a big thing back in the day. And so it's there to do a bunch of custom crunching, I guess, of the network protocols and so on. Again, I'm not really that fussed about it, but the reason that I'm glad it has this thing in it is that if we get this card out, you'll see that it's actually a 16-bit ISA card. And so now what I have, take this out of the road, what I have in here is not only PCI slots, but right there in there I have an ISA slot. And so that's going to enable me to drop in that 82324A, I think it is, 321A. It's the measurement code processor. Because it's an ISA-based card, because originally designed for HP Vectra business desktop. So we'll take this guy out. This is going to be the FDDI card, which is the Laser Network little Xilinx thing there. Network peripheral, so don't know who they are, but that's a 1996 card. So that's sort of an indication that this machine was either built in '86. Well, hang on, what's the let's take a look here at this guy. This is 86, 96. This is 93 copyright. Date code on the processor, because they wouldn't be hanging onto those things. It's 94. 96. Well, I guess maybe they built this and then had a bunch of those. 2 years. Now, then again, maybe this was added later on. You know. Anyway, we're talking mid to late 80s. Was the mid to late 90s? Sorry, was the machine. Now, this is going to be the network card. I can see the Broadcom chipset on it. It's actually weirdly, it's an Adaptec card. I did not know that Adaptec made network cards. I knew they made a bunch of mass storage controller stuff, but well, there you go. And it's actually a digital chip, a Digital Equipment Corporation. So, you know, this is there's no copyrights on it, but the date codes again gonna be 2nd of 98, the February 98, 15th week, 2nd week of 98, sorry, the 15th week of 98. So this card is certainly a 1998 construction card there. Interesting. You know, I can see it has the RJ45 for twisted pair. It had the 10 base 2 connector for the BNC networks. That's that little ARU. So I guess that's actually on the other one was a different port. But this is where there would be an off-board transceiver to the media that you would be connecting to. Okay, so now that we have that out, let's see if we can see in, and what else we can see. Well, okay, so what we can see in here, and let me see if I can angle that a little bit so that you can see in there as well. Now I'm going to be looking at the, let me see, get a bit more light in there. I'm going to be looking at this through the monitor of the camera, so that's going to be a little bit delayed. Here we have our memory. Now, this board, when you boot this up, the board comes up with a designator of CI, you know, Charlie India 6 Bravo Mike. And phone call, if you hang on, I'll get back to you. Okay, well, that took a little longer than expected. Anyway, I'm back now. So, I think the, I'm trying to think of what the last thing, was that I was talking about. The motherboard in here, let me come back anyway. The motherboard in this unit here is a slot 1 motherboard. It's a CI, you know, Charlie India 6 Bravo Mike. It's a single board computer. It's a half sort of baby ATX, I think, was the size of this thing. And if you look inside there, you can see this enormous black cover here is actually an air guide to run the air, but underneath that is the slot 1 Pentium 2 processor that's in the board here. And so those things were fairly large, you know, about that sort of size. Normally they mount vertically, but because this is this small baby ATX board designed for this way, they have it mounted flat across the board. So I bought, I'm going to keep that, and I bought another 512 meg of memory here. This is all PC 100 memory. So I bought that to upgrade this to 512, which is the maximum this board can support. And then we'll see how we go with that. Ideally, what I want to end up with is being able to run both MS-DOS, Win98 SE, and either Win2K or WinXP on this. So that's sort of a quick look. And then, you know, underneath this piece here is the front display. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to get at is to see if I can get at the actual, that floppy drive there. And then we'll take that out. So let me take a shot at what needs to be undone to make that work. Okay, so we've got the hard drive case out now, so we should be able to get in there and be careful with that. Okay, and that is a CR2032. So I have one of those. Let me just go get that and replace it. There we go. So that should deal with the issue of it losing its BIOS settings. Just taking a look at the rest of it. So now let's take a look at the drive bay here. So this was the unit that was losing, it was not working. So let's get let's just take this apart here and get access to that little floppy drive. Okay, so then we go with the CD-ROM out. Now this was, the CD-ROM looked like it was working. I don't remember if I tested it or not. But we know without a doubt that this guy here, the little floppy drive, certainly was not working. So let's take this out and then we'll have to replace it. Now, trying to get a slimline floppy drive is actually pretty difficult if you wanted to just go and buy one as a replacement. But what you can buy is almost any number of USB based floppy drives. And what a USB based floppy drive is basically an internal slimline that is connected through like this, only this bit is actually connected to a USB a driver board. So let's just pull that out, and there we go. So that basically is the bit that's in there. So let me grab this $10 or so. And these things are almost all identical. You know, what you'll have is the basic same case. There'll be a little screw at the back there. Sometimes that screw is covered with a little calibration seal or a QC seal. But basically what we're looking at here is a internal floppy drive. Man, that's a long screw. And so what we can do is just simply salvage the parts for it. Now this top should just pop off. There, come on. There we go. And here, if you look in, you'll see the little board. This is a converts that connector across to USB. So we can take the guts of this guy out, pop that little holder up, there we go. Oh. and out drops that little cable, and you can see the little cable is exactly the cable that we'd had off the board here. So now if we look at these two guys here, they're going to be almost identical, except for the fact this guy has a little bit of a fascia on it and this guy won't. So, you know, ideally what you could do is, actually I think we might even be able to pop that little fascia cover off there. So let's take this guy out of its little container. So we're just going to have to run with it as it is. Yeah, so if you look at the front of this case here, there's those two, this little divot set here keeps this piece out of the way of the door, but the door is also thinner. So, well, it is what it is, so we're just going to have to put it back together again and you know, run with the unit as it is. So let me just put this cover back on this drive here. Okay, so there we are with the drive replaced. Now, what I'm going to go do before we put this all back together is I'm going to see if I can actually get this up and running, just to test that that floppy drive actually was the problem. There we go. You heard the floppy drive seek. Okay, so we fixed the floppy drive, we fixed the battery. Let's get this reassembled, and then the next thing that I want to do is to take a look at, you know, before we go too much further, about what that fix that was done on the display was. Now, which way did this? Oh, this went in this way. Okay. So it's getting quite late here because of all the interruptions that I had. So what we're going to go do is get this back mounted back in. What am I doing? This is going to come in here. There we go. All right. So one of these went up the top, one of these went here, so we'll just arbitrarily pick this guy over here, and then we'll slide this through here and push this into here. Okay, so that was a bit silly, because what I forgot to do was to put in the middle cable here. So I'm going to have to undo that again, then slide that out, pop that cable in, and then put it back together. So I'm going to do that first thing tomorrow morning, and then we'll take a look at the front panel.